Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 5 a.m. on Saturday in London. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thank you so much for joining us.
And we have some errata from last week. We learned of an error. David Renicki sent us a message, and to paraphrase, he caught the replay. He said it was a great show, but one thing that was said was about Carl saying, somewhere something incredible is waiting. This is a common misconception and gets said so many times. Incredible is a word that, hi Cliff, is a word that Carl disliked and never used. I can understand why, because incredible means that it essentially means unbelievable.
Okay.
Because you can't credit the statement. It was based on a misreading of text printed in Newsweek magazine in 1977 in a cover story of Sagan. One of the four reporters, Sharon Begley in New York, wrote the text. Well, thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, you're like a guardian angel to us.
Yes.
You continually offer tips and suggestions, and we're so grateful for that. You have a breadth and depth that's unparalleled. And hello, Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
So if you folks are in Australia,
if you're ever in Australia,
near Warhoe,
Warup, I think is the way. Cliff can tell us. Yes. Yeah. Did we say it right?
Do yourself a favor. Yeah, he can write it in the way they write it in Australia.
We'll never say it right then.
Yeah, it's almost bad as Welsh. He's doing fabulous. David's doing fabulous work and sharing what he knows in his region.
Yeah, if you're anywhere near there, definitely look him up. Yep. All right, tonight's topic is collecting meteorites. We'll be back in 8.3 seconds. More rare than diamonds or cold, meteorites come in several flavors, and each one is unique. Hear about these visitors from space, which help us learn more about our solar system and beyond. And if you like to hunt for them too, we'll delve into that a little bit. This week, Jeff takes the lead. Join me in learning what Jeff is sharing with us tonight.
And just wanted to say, hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael. Love all the art show pictures you shared on Facebook. Fabulous.
Okay, so.
Which one do you want?
This one.
That one, let's bigify it for you.
Meteorite hunting. This was suggested by David last week, and I figured since I've watched all the seasons of Meteorite Men, yes, I must be an expert. So
is that it?
Yep. So here we go.
Okay.
First thing that I wanted to share is I just saw this an article that had a paragraph in here. Asteroids have been on a crash course with Earth, most recently on March 11th, when Hungarian astronomer Christian Sarnecki, okay, I mangled that one. Sorry, man. Recorded a space rock about 8 feet wide, 3 meters for the rest of you guys. 10 feet wide.
10 feet wide.
10 feet wide. So equivalent to about 3 meters. Roughly 2 hours before it collided with the planet's atmosphere, just north of Iceland. The asteroid burned up when it entered the atmosphere. No trace of its remains were found. I just wanted to think about a 3 meter wide asteroid completely disappears. So compare that to seeing a meteorite on the ground, how big that sucker must have been when it hit the atmosphere, just to leave anything left.
Well, and they oftentimes
will burst. Yeah.
yeah, they'll break apart.
Yeah. Basically, the
So that
uneven
it's
heating,
pieces.
just causes causes it to fracture. But and then it just dissolves up even faster.
Because when we've in the shows Meteorite Men, we've seen where they talk about a debris field, and it generally has sort of this oblong shape, and they talk about where the best ones are most likely to be found, that kind of thing. But
Right.
Jeff will tell you more.
And they usually, it doesn't mean that the thing was huge before it broke up. It just means that it was big enough to get close enough to the ground before it broke up, because usually those break up fairly close to the ground because that's when they've gotten hot enough to fracture like that.
Okay.
Also, from that show, it's the heavier pieces that end up farther.
Right.
Because the lighter ones catch more air resistance.
Yeah, and they have some nice graphics. It's going along and they just fall out. The little light ones fall out.
Yep.
And then the heavy one hits the ground at the end of that debris field.
Yeah.
Very cool. If you haven't seen that show, highly recommended.
Yeah. But I just wanted to get that 10-foot, 3-meter wide dissolves into nothing when it comes in. So that just gives you a sense of scale there.
It's possibly the angle at which, because if you go too shallow, it'll bounce right off the atmosphere. We've heard enough about that.
Yeah.
But if it comes in too deep, it'll completely burn up.
Well, it depends on how big it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and if the chance of it actually hitting dead on, think about it. It's like hitting a bullseye. Chances are real good it's going to hit at an angle. And yes, the more atmosphere it goes through, the more it's going to burn. But and the difference between a meteor and a meteorite. A meteor is something that's going through the atmosphere. A meteorite is what actually manages to reach the ground.
Right.
And a meteor that hasn't hit in the atmosphere yet is a rock.
Is that a meteoroid? Isn't it? Really?
Yes.
That might be okay.
I just like saying that it's a rock.
Got it. Yes, it's true.
Oh, and I'm going to reference a lot of websites here, and I just have them all packed up. I'll put them in the comments after I'm done talking. I'll just chunk it into the comments, and you can catch them all there. So they're usually long, nasty names, and just scrolling them at the bottom of the screen isn't going to do anyone. Yeah. You're not going to be able to type that in anyway unless you freeze frame the
And I think they're clickable when we add them to the chat for you too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're at least copy pastable.
Exactly. Right.
So, okay, they're meteor versus meteorite. I forgot I made a slide for that. Okay, types of meteorites. There's 4 main types.
Oh, 4. Okay. I thought there were 3.
Yeah. Well, there's a third one that most people don't think about. Stony meteorites. It's basically stuff like made out of the crust of the earth, or the crust of another planet, or a lot of asteroids are stony or metallic. Well, these are the stony ones. They're generally lighter in weight, and and they're the most common type. If you think about how much crust versus core the earth has, that'll tell you how much.
And with no iron in them, how are they finding these things?
They're harder to find.
They're harder to find. Okay.
Yeah. Where they find them, and I'll go into where to find them later, but you really can find them unless you're an expert and really know what to look for, because as it comes through the atmosphere, it will burn. The outer layer burns and changes distinctive colors.
Okay.
And I'm not quite the expert on that. I do have a lot of reading material that you can find there. Like I said, I have a bunch of links in there, and they will talk about that in there.
And I know on the Meteorite Men show, they'll go around with magnets to try and
but that won't find the rocky ones.
It's not going to find the stony ones. So they're focusing on the mostly iron ones, right?
Yeah, and they're generally not looking for the stony ones, except where they have a clear field of view.
Okay.
Like they don't look through a forest for the stony ones.
That makes sense.
They look for desert areas, and I'll just talk about it now. But Antarctica is apparently a really great place to find meteorites.
Makes sense.
Because if you look out there and you see something that's not white, it's probably a meteorite. Not always, but it probably is. And
makes sense.
Yeah, and they find they find both kinds there, but Stony ones are easy to find there. Oh, okay.
And Cliff asks, saw a lot of cut meteors over in the States on our trip and at some of the places you took us in LA. Oh, yeah. They're very popular.
Yeah.
And also Cliff goes, the colors are fantastic.
Yeah, and those will mostly be the Stony ones.
Okay.
Because they can have all kinds of minerals in them, crystalline structures, usually spherical, because of course it's in 0G, so there's nothing causing things to separate out. Just they clump. Hey, David.
Thanks for joining us, Dave. You want to read it? Go ahead.
Okay. A few years ago, I did a story of a woman hanging out, washing in her backyard in New Zealand, and was hit on the shoulder by a small meteorite. Checked it out and found it to be 4.5 billion years old.
That is amazing.
Yep.
Imagine.
Yeah. About when the Earth was forming, which is about right, because that's when most of the stuff out there was, was basically created out there. And she kind of won or lost, depending on how you think of it, a major lottery, because there are so few people that are actually struck by a meteorite. In fact, there are so few meteorites that actually strike property of a person.
There's some, though. I've seen pictures.
There are some, but it makes news every single time.
It does.
Yeah.
In our city 15 years ago, a local real estate owner was woken by a large rock pummeling through the roof. Yeah.
Yep.
Also, Dave writes, broke up in the living room floor. His kids have been watching TV an hour before. At almost 5 billion years old. Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we hear about the ones here more than we do. So thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, Dave. Really appreciate that. And it sounded like you were thinking that they're very much more popular in the United States. But, I mean, with that kind of thing going on, I should think in some areas it's pretty popular there too, right?
Yeah, and I would think that, just like the U.S. has its desert areas, I would imagine that the outback is probably a really good place to find meteorites. Just because, anywhere that's mostly open is going to make it easier to find them.
Got it.
But
you went back to your. There
you
go.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's Stony meteorites. These are the iron meteorites.
And that's the ones that the magnet will find.
Yeah.
Most easily.
And
they're heavy too, right?
And then they don't necessarily use a magnet to find them. They use metal detectors.
Oh, right. Yes.
The magnet is to confirm it, or to, they know it's down in this once, 2 foot spot.
The magnet won't reach underneath the ground. I mean, if these are buried,
right,
2 to 5 feet, the metal detector will find them where the magnet would not.
Yeah. So, but also just, and if you're in the grass, a magnet will help you locate it. But
I remember they found a lot of small ones that way. They just sort of grabbed them up with them.
Right. And it's also a good way of finding a lot of stuff that isn't a meteorite or a rock or something.
Meteor wrong.
Yeah. Well,
that was their favorite term. Yes. Another meteor wrong.
Well, and that's something that we'll be covering here too. Yeah. Let's see.
Best place to find meteorite particles around your home is at the bottom of your drain pipe.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Something that washes away stuff.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, the meteorite men did say that one of the best times to look is right after a rain, because it'll uncover stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cut jewelry for meteorites are, they can be fairly expensive. I think it depends on the rarity of them, because like of the 4 types, there's one that's pretty rare, right?
Yeah, and also how it looks. I mean, some are prettier than others. Oh, some more from David. We get hit by hundreds of tons of meteoric material each day, and a lot of it falls on roofs. They run down when it rains. Yeah.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they'd be really small, maybe, right?
Yeah, they would be.
Yeah, and of course around here, it doesn't rain that often, so that might be a pretty good, pretty good way to look for them.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Dave. Really appreciate that.
Okay. Let's see. The next type. Oh, and these are usually polished up, and they usually show these stripes.
Well, I think they have to acid etch them to get the stripes, right?
Yeah. And this is Stony iron.
Well, that's beautiful.
This might be kind of like the iconic, what people think of as a meteorite.
Okay.
And there we go.
Dave weighs in with, if you get a magnet in,
Fossic.
I'm not sure what that means. Around the bottom of the drain pipe, you'll pick up very small particles.
Yep.
All right. Okay. You have to tell us what that word is. It might be a typo, I think.
I've heard the term, but I don't know.
Fossic? Okay.
Yeah. And then, another thing in California, there's a lot of very fine iron in the sand. So you'll get iron filings. Okay. So it's kind of like hard to do that here. Okay. And Cliff says.
Yeah, Cliff has, it's easy to find meteorites in the Antarctic on the ice.
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I kind of mentioned that. It's basically, if you look out, see something that's not white, that's probably it.
Yeah, Cliff said it dried up by him, but now
great.
Now he's got a mowing problem.
Yeah. But apparently in some areas near the North Pole, you can find them. Oh. But the trouble is that area melts occasionally and then refreezes. But since the North Pole is over water, they're down at the bottom. Yeah. Whereas the Antarctic, for one thing, it doesn't have like the melt cycle because it doesn't have the water coming in and helping it melt. Okay. And so that makes sense. More likely to stay there. They do look on ice shelves and stuff like that because those do stay fairly stable, even though if they move toward the ocean, the glacier shelves, you just have to find stuff before it actually drops into the ocean. Okay. Cool. But, so these are what a lot of people think of as, meteorites when they look for them. But here's the fourth type that I mentioned. Martian. Oh yeah, right. We get some visitors from Mars here. Yep. Because Mars got whacked pretty good a couple times. And we've got from Cliff prospect sort of fossic around. You lost me, Cliff. I don't know what that word means. Yep. Help. So, occasionally stuff gets whacked off of Mars, and we get it. And so that is the fourth type of. Okay. And here. Yeah, I think I knew that, but I didn't think of it quite as a fourth type. But yeah, it is. Yep. Oh, David comes in with, they can bring a good money return. I was at the Winter Star Party in 2008 in Florida. A dealer there had one meteorite stolen. Wow, valued at $10,000. That's U.S. dollars. I take it because it's in Florida. Yeah. Yeah, dang. Boy. Is that something you could actually pocket even? That sounds like it might be pretty heavy. No, it wouldn't necessarily be a big one. Oh, okay. It would probably be something that you could pocket or at least hold in your hand. No kidding. Wow. $10,000, probably less than baseball size, maybe about baseball size or less. Okay. So it depends on the type, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the prettier ones, the rarer ones are more expensive. Okay. And if he was showing it, it was probably a pretty or a rare one. Got it. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. Yeah. And good that someone knew the value, though. Yep. And here are... look at that. Yeah. These are some really pretty ones. These are iron stony meteorites.
Yeah, wow. And these are basically, they slice them and polish them, right?
Yeah.
To get that, because there's one there. It looks like kind of more of the outside.
Right. And it all depends. I mean, these are just a bunch of. I'm showing this because it's pretty pictures. This one here is a thin slice where you can see through it.
Gosh, it looks like stained glass. Dave said that guy was pretty mad.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I would be too.
Yeah. And so, here's stony. This is actually the image that we saw before.
Right.
And here's pure iron ones that are.
Well, now sometimes glass gets, well, let's see, thrown up. I think it's
from the impact.
Hits the sandy stuff, gets thrown into out into space and comes back, and it gets heated up, and that's tektites, right?
Yeah.
Tektites?
Well, it can also form from the impact itself. Just.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there in the.
Yeah.
In the hole it makes, basically.
Yeah. So, I do have a link to this search just so that you can see all the pretty pictures, and a lot of this goes to different websites, so you can get to a lot of different things from just this one search. So.
Boy, those are really neat.
Yeah.
I think I have some tiny meteorites around.
Yeah. This website, I like a lot.
Oh, cool.
This is, what is a meteorite? This is actually this types of meteorites is where I got the 4 images that I showed you.
Oh, got it.
Sorry, guys. Hold on. Hang on. And here is meteoritesforsale.com. This is where, this is a place that you can go if you want to sell your meteorites. They will buy them and they will sell them.
All right.
And they do have, they have a lot of information, how to identify them. Fusion crust. That's what I was talking about, how the crust is burned on the outside.
Right.
And the shapes.
That's actually from coming in, right?
Right. And they do talk about meteor wrongs also. Solid, not porous. Because if it was porous, it would probably burn up or break up on the way in.
Yep.
Magnet test, streak test, metal grains. So they have a lot of information here to help you identify a meteorite.
And you'll add this to the chat.
Oh, yeah.
With the group. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is part of
all of these links are in there.
Cool.
Because I just found a wealth of information that would take hours to go through if I were to go through all of it. So, but I just wanted to show this because this is a really good resource. And they even have meteor versus meteorite here.
Nice. I
didn't need their definition because I watched Meteorite Men, therefore I'm an expert.
Well, there's other shows too that we've seen over the years.
Okay, so meteor wrongs. Yes. Look at these two. This is a meteorite. This is a meteor wrong.
So why is it a meteor wrong?
I think if you click on it, you find out. But it's just a different kind of rock, and so they can be very deceptive.
So would a magnet stick to the meteor?
No, this is stony.
It wouldn't.
This is stony.
Okay, so that's one way to help you figure out if
no, because these are both stony. Magnet wouldn't tell you.
Oh, that's a stony meteorite too. Oh, okay. I see.
You see, magnet wouldn't help.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So this is they do talk about a bunch of stuff here. And this is a whole page with meteor wrongs.
Hey, thanks, Cliff. We do our best.
Yeah. Now some of these, like these crystalline structure of this, looks almost like a geode or maybe petrified wood.
That's not a meteorite, though, right?
No.
Yeah.
Can't imagine someone would actually.
It would just break up too much, wouldn't it?
And then this one that's hollow inside. Yeah, it'd be gone. It'd be gone coming in. I've never actually seen a purple meteorite. Could be wrong, but I've never seen a purple one. But there's a lot of good information here too. This, however, is New York Times, and I think they have you can only access it like X number of times a month.
Oh, right.
And then they paywall it. So
yeah, they want you to pay after a few times.
So if you go here, save off anything you want to see.
Oh, Dave says it is illegal to sell or trade meteorites that have been found in some states in Australia. It breaks federal law and can incur heavy penalties, fines, and prison sentence. Wow. Cliff comes in with it. It won't be magnetic.
Right, if it's Stony.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
These are more meteor wrongs. Manganese. That looks fairly meteorite-ish.
So again, would the magnet stick to those?
Yes, it would. Ferro means iron, so it does have iron.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Dave comes in with it comes under the Protection of Movable Cultural Heritage Act. That is fascinating. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and I will get into a little bit also with, there are a lot of areas that you might find meteorites, and the reason why you find them is because they're restricted.
Oh.
It's like private or federal or state land that it's illegal to do without permission.
Yeah, and that's what the meteorite men would talk about. Is we talked to the farmer. He said we could come and look, or we talked to the university that's trying to map out where these are in this debris field. And so they mentioned that a lot to asking for permission and getting time frames in which they had to work.
The federal rangers for the area gave them, you have these number of days, and a number of countries have the same thing.
Yeah, those guys went all over the world.
Yeah. Well, especially on the later seasons when they actually had a budget for that. But
that would make a difference.
Yep. So, here, can you pop me over again? Thanks.
Sure. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry.
Okay, more meteor wrongs again. How could you think that this is a meteorite? But
it's a
I guess if you don't know, you'd know. But and this one I've never seen a meteorite like that. But hey,
looks like a countertop. Dave tells us you can't keep a meteorite in parts of Australia. Meteorites are the property of the crown. We don't really have that kind of thing here. It's right. All very
well, except if you look for federal land, but yeah.
Okay.
All right. The reason is, and they do like to keep them for research. Mm-hmm. So that's.
Oh yeah, they tell us a lot about our solar system, and some have even come from outside the solar system.
Yeah. So, where are meteorites found? And they talk, and we already hit on a bunch of it. Ice fields, deserts are good.
Yeah, that really sticks out, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. They're found anywhere. It's just, where are they easy to find?
Well, and there's concentrations of them, and if there's been
if you know a big impact, then you know that there's likely to be meteorites there. And so here, this is good. This is how to find meteorites. This is a NASA page.
Oh, looks great.
And step one, getting the software, they can essentially Google map it.
Well, I think GPS is part of that process too, right? They have the like when they carry around their phones, and they'll mark where they found it.
Yeah, and so there's latest worldwide meteor news.
Cool.
International Meteor Organization and Meteorite List. So these are all places that that show where they are. And that's and here's a fireball event where if there's a fireball, you might find bits of it underneath it.
So there's more modern ones that actually people see and then go looking for, but then there's some ancient ones that I guess they just know about, and there's probably some that we don't even know about, especially if they auger into the earth. I don't think we can really tell unless they get out there with their, they go over the specific spot with the detector.
Yeah, it has to be small enough to punch in, but not big enough to self-excavate. Like Meteor Crater. It was just sitting there at the bottom of the crater. It was unburied because it blew all of the dirt and rock above it off.
Right.
So here they talk about narrowing the search area, um, and step 3, retrieve and analyze weather radar to search. Oh, weather radar can tell you
Mm.
if it looks like it. There are features of meteors falling.
Well,
So
that looks like a great resource.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah, and how to find meteorites in 5 steps. This is Scientific American. Also, I think it has limited views before paywalling, so you might want
got
to
it.
save this off.
And Dave comes in with one time. Look this up. Murchison meteorite found in Australia 50 odd years ago. It was found to contain DNA structure and evidence of sporic material that could have seeded life here. I have heard of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've heard of this particular one.
Yeah, they call that panspermia.
Right.
Where the building blocks for life might have come from meteorites. But hang on.
Dave has one more. You
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
go
have
ahead.
something? Okay, well, here we go. It exploded over the town mid-morning and rattled windows and doors. Bits fell all over the town. Wow.
Yeah, 50 years ago. Yeah,
That must have been fantastic.
yeah. But thing is that if those molecules can be made through random stuff in space,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be even easier to make them on Earth. So
Mm.
whether panspermia happened, we got the DNA fragments, and they'd be fragments that ended up being, built into DNA on the Earth. Whether those fragments came from space or were created here, hard to tell.
Maybe someday we'll know for sure.
Yeah. And part of it is if we find life in other places, it means that it could, it's more like, well, we'd look to see, or is there DNA? Does this have the same building blocks that ours does?
Mm.
If it is, then panspermia might have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another possibility. Earth and Mars, and maybe even Venus before it blew itself up, essentially, all had water on them. Heck, even Ceres had water on it.
Mm.
They might have had the beginnings of life,
Mm-hmm.
and a good hit would have blown off stuff, and that could be coming back down. So, don't know. It'd be interesting.
The search continues.
Yeah, the search continues. The more we see out there, the more likely it is we'll have an answer for that. But I think we'll need to find a lot of stuff out there to find that answer.
Do you have more pages?
One more.
All right, we'll go back to it here.
Yeah. And this is just looking at equipment, and I'll get into that. So, let me get this up. And so, so types of meteorites, meteor rungs, same image that I showed you in the other slide thing. And I have the site here, but don't worry about that. I'll put it in comments.
Cool.
Where to look, we covered that. Go ahead.
So Cliff says to think that the accretion disk that evolved came from another star. That's okay. I got it. Yes. When stars explode, they push a lot of material together. That actually might make a great show. Mm-hmm. So more stars are born from the pressurized material. And yeah. Or are you thinking of black hole? That could be. Yeah. No, that sounds more like when a star blows
disk,
up. Yeah. Let's write that down for a future show. That'd be. That's a fascinating subject.
Odd tidbit. They think that most gold comes from the merger of 2 neutron stars.
Oh, okay.
Because apparently the neutrons fly off, hit each other, and some break up into proton electrons. That's where you get the protons from for the gold.
Okay.
And apparently it just builds up, and gold is like one of the last stable structures that can form from that source. And so they think that neutron stars colliding with each other is a source for
Yeah, anything heavier
gold.
than iron comes from a supernova, basically.
Yeah, or something weird like neutron stars
Yeah,
hitting each
right,
other.
right, yeah.
But
And that
yeah,
probably creates some exotic things that don't last very long.
right, yeah, we don't know what
We don't know.
Yeah,
Yes, Cliff, we are made of star stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing existed before stars were formed, and they burned up their fuel and got more and more down to iron. Iron is the last fuel source for a star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
you got more? There you go.
Yeah. Where to look? I covered that. What are the tools of the trade?
There you go.
Metal detector, and the meteorite men had things from the beachcomber style to really big self-constructed things out of wire and plastic tubing that they dragged behind a vehicle.
Yep.
So
that was fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, Cliff says not this star, the sun. You'll have to tell me. Did you understand him?
Well, we weren't created from
no
our sun. We were created from the star that exploded that gave us the material to make the sun and the
and our star never will go supernova. It's just too small.
It'll blow off its outer layers, but it won't go supernova.
And red, I think it's eventually
a red giant.
A red giant or red dwarf.
It'll go to red dwarf.
Okay.
But it'll be red giant, and then the center will collapse again.
Okay.
And the red giant material will just.
We could do a whole show on that. I remember in my astronomy class, there's basically a push and pull with pressure and gravity. So they kind of go like this, and after a while they'll either collapse or they'll blow up. So
right, and sometimes they'll do this both, because the core collapses, but then it's far enough away that it doesn't have any hold on the outer parts, and the outer parts then
they blow off.
They blow off.
Okay, so David, the spores found inside some meteorites have been thought to have survived extreme cold and heat, absolute zero, and capable of withstanding G-forces in the hundreds, pummeling the Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cliff says right, Jeff.
Yeah. But yeah, David. And the thing is that the spores.
Oh, wow. I missed one.
Oh.
Go ahead, finish.
The spores
I'll go back to
don't have to be necessarily hugely resistant to those G-forces.
Mm.
Just a small portion of them have to survive. So you don't know how many were there before the 100G impact. And
here's the one I missed, and I'm so sorry, David. These couple of these went kind of fast. Here it is. Sorry to push in. Hey, we love you being here with us too. Done a lot of stories and research about this stuff.
Oh, good.
A cricket ball meteorite. He has a cricket ball sized meteorite. Wow.
Yeah.
I bet it's worth more than $10,000.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got for us, Jeff?
Let's see. So, metal detector, a loop. Basically, because one of the ways you look at the fine details of it, and that'll tell you a shovel and or a pick.
Oh yeah, we saw him digging a lot.
Yeah, because unless it's just sitting on top of the dirt for you to pick up,
which some of them are.
Yep. A magnet on a stick.
Yep.
Because you want a magnet, and you don't necessarily want to be crawling around on your knees all the time, so you put it on a stick and.
Especially not for the meteor-rongs.
Yeah.
They found plenty of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of
barbed wire and all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah. Another thing about here, let's just put us back up. Is when you're looking for meteorites, if you're looking in an area that's inhabited or had been inhabited, you find a lot of metal.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with a meteorite.
Yeah.
And if you're using a metal detector, you end up with a bunch. And one of the things that the meteorite men were pretty conscientious about doing is picking up any metal.
Yeah, they'd remove it from the site, especially if this was kind of a known debris field, right?
Yeah. And they used to grumble a lot about people who would scan it, pick it up, and toss it.
So you got to find it all over again. Guys.
Right, because the next guy is going to see that too.
Yeah.
And if you turn around and get yourself turned around, you can find it again.
Yay, team.
Yeah. But so farmland or former farmland has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Europe is hard on them because there's pretty much nowhere that hasn't been the site of a battle.
Oh, when that's
So
a
there's
lot, that's a lot of metallic debris.
There's a lot of man-made stuff all over Europe.
From some of those.
Yeah. U.S. has, unless you're on the East Coast, where there's a lot of farmland and a lot of fighting that happened, most of the U.S. is fairly free of that. Or if it's former farmland or former inhabited, there's usually signs of it still.
So Cliff says, I explain the facts of a supernova to people all the time, as it is one of the most asked questions. That is fabulous.
Yep.
Yay. Cool. Yeah, I think I found a new trick for getting people involved too.
Yep.
I've been practicing it. I'll go, what's your sign? And then, have you seen it in the night sky? And a couple more things associated with that. But when it becomes that personal, people seem to get a little more interested.
Yep.
So I'm going to play with that a little more.
Yeah. Okay. Container bags, to store them individually and be able to mark them to identify.
Oh, yeah. They were writing all kinds of stuff on the packaging for those. Yeah.
And a GPS device. Because what do you do when you find one? And this is what they really stressed. Use GPS to mark its position with the date and time. And this is to help when they register stuff so that, it gets in for the scientific record.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because they'll take, in the show, they would take their stuff to various local experts at universities and so forth. So.
Yeah. And one of the things that they really disliked is what they called the poachers, which, poaching is anyone who hunts for something when they're not supposed to, which is like on federal land without permission, but they tended to refer to the term for anything that anyone picks up, because anytime you pick up a meteorite and just walk away with it, you lose a lot of data.
Yeah, that data is gone.
Yep. So
Dave says it stopped raining. Yay, blue skies. Are they clear? Are they clear skies?
Yeah. Well, sounds like.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Unless they got some really strange clouds down there. Okay. So you get its GPS position with date and time, mark its depth, and anything else that sticks out to you.
Cool.
Individually store the meteorite. Take it to a geologist to get tested. 1, to make sure you've got a real meteorite. 2, so that they can determine what kind it is and if there's anything really interesting about it. And then you keep, donate, or sell. And part of this will be dependent on where you get the meteorite from.
Okay.
Like in Australia. Yeah,
it's a big deal there, apparently.
Right. Yeah. And if you get it off of federal land or land that's managed by a university, then they pretty much have ownership of it. From the meteorite men, as long as they donate a portion of it, they can keep a few for themselves, is what I've seen. So I'm pretty sure that that's because they make that arrangement before they go looking, rather than, here, we'll give you this portion of it. And they might not let that happen, so.
We did get a couple more comments here. Dave says, wife drives along and picks up rocks sitting in spots on the snow a few hours after it falls. Scott Bregden, if you find a new meteorite, how would you keep it sterile from Earth microbes, or is that even important? Ooh, really good question, Scott.
I don't think it's important, Scott, because, here, let's get this.
Yeah, let's go do that.
Because, for one thing, it'll be sterilized coming in. If you think about how much heat it generates, you're vaporizing rock. You're essentially boiling rock off its surface.
Any microbes?
Yeah, any microbes on it,
they're screwed.
Are screwed. Yeah. Now, if you crack it open, there might be spores inside it. But still,
they came in their own little spaceship with the meteorite around it.
Yeah. But anything on the outside, any microbes on it are going to be Earth microbes. And if you think about it, you what do you how do you keep it sterile when you picked it up off the dirt?
Yeah.
You know, is so Antarctic stuff might be somewhat sterile, although there's still stuff living in that snow. But yeah, I would say that the you don't have a hope in heck of that.
So two things. Thanks, Scott, for joining us. And yes, Dave, there is a slight delay. When I speak to the program here, it's about 10 seconds between the time I speak and then it shows up for you to hear. And so sometimes our comments are a little bit out of order. My recommendation is to reference something in particular. Say, when you talked about that, whatever it is, I wanted to know more about.
Yeah. Well, and also
ask questions.
It seems like
so Dave's kind of correlate them.
Yeah, it seems like Dave's talking about something else too, and that they're getting out of written order.
Well, I did oops on one of them.
Oh, you did.
Okay. I did oops on one of them, and yeah, I know when I noticed it, I said something. So that's why that one was out of order.
Yeah. Okay, so once you've done all of this, assuming you're allowed to keep it at all, you make the choice: keep, donate, or sell. That's it. Now, if no one knows you have it, you still have that choice. But if you picked it up off of someone else's land or federal land, that choice can cause you troubles if and here's some links, but don't worry about it. Like I said, I'm going to post those to the.
So Dave says that some of these don't even show up.
The comments.
Okay, if that's true, I don't necessarily know about it. I know I got one of them out of order. And so here's Cliff's is next. Might be a way we have been kept safe from space germs. Quite possibly. Possibly.
Assume that there's any out there. I mean, we don't know for sure. I mean, there are some things that could be spores or maybe not. I know that there was something that they found in some Martian meteorites that looked like signs of life. But they were crystals that happened to grow just in a specific, direction. And
interesting.
So instead of being signs of, because it looked like some types of earth bacteria.
Okay.
But they ended up being naturally formed crystals. So not sign of life.
So I want to thank Dave for telling us that he must be seeing them on YouTube in a specific order, and sometimes we're not getting them in that order, maybe. A whole bunch came in here. Let's see. Dave, this is one I sent earlier. One of my zany U.S. friends they wait for snowfalls during meteor showers. Then he flies over an area in his little one-man light plane. Alien. We might be the aliens. Who knows? I don't know. I have no expertise in that area.
I think whether we find life or we don't find life out there,
both are important.
Both will be very significant.
Either way, I think we should know. I think we want to know.
Although if we find life, my personal belief is that if we find life, it's going to be single cell.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to have a conversation with it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Because there were very specific disasters that happened on Earth that caused things to become bigger than single cell. Well, for one thing, mitochondria.
Well, at one point, the Eukaryotes too. However you say it. They talk about how lots of things keep reforming. Eyeballs keep showing up, but not the eukaryotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying.
Yeah, mitochondria was, it's a portion inside our cells, but it was basically its own organism that got absorbed by a cell and not eaten, and so those.
Yeah, we just incorporated it into our own.
Right, but those generate enough energy that we could become much more complex beings.
It's the powerhouse of the cell, basically. Yeah. That's the way I understand mitochondria.
So if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have complex organisms.
So most likely, if we do find life out there, probably going to be one cells.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah. Now,
if we do.
There have been a number of die-offs like
Mhm.
the Precambrian life is really interesting to me. And this could do a whole different show on that one, because apparently one of the organisms there was like something like 10 meters diameter, single cell,
Oh, wow.
but multiple nuclei, just all floating
Mm.
around in the same cell.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting form.
Yeah.
Dave says we are based on the carbon cycle, one of the most common elements in the universe. ET could look very much like us.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It very well could. I mean, most likely life revolves around water.
Oh,
Water and carbon.
But we do see certain forms come back over and over again, like cats. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Well, like the saber-tooth tiger variant has like at least um, six variants. Oh, and I just posted all of the links in there.
I see that, but that's weird. Oh, maybe it's just different pieces of it.
Yeah.
Looks like they broke it up in one case. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it now.
You know, so saber-tooth, heck, even Australia had its own saber-tooth marsupial.
Oh, that's right.
But that's apparently anytime the prey gets big enough and has thick enough skin, you develop a saber-tooth variant.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of dinosaurs that were saber-tooth.
Oh, okay.
So it's something that shows up frequently.
Cliff says you can't run Windows without DOS. Cells might do the same.
Yep.
David goes, imagine there might be another Cliff out there
Yeah.
in a parallel universe. That's a whole different topic too.
Well, yeah, and it all depends on.
We're going to have to add a lot of stuff to our list. We did a whole big brainstorming session a few weeks ago, and we got a big list out of it. So
of show ideas.
Yeah, show ideas. And thank you very much for your input as well. We really, really appreciate that. All right, so you done with yours?
Yes.
The next segment is about stellar events coming this week. And then we're talking May 27th, which is today, here in the United States through June the 3rd. Just so you know, the Globe at Night project is still going. And that started on May 21st. It goes to May 30th. They are for 10-day periods. What you do is you go out, you get a picture of the targets in this 10-day period. We're talking about Buutes in the northern hemisphere and Crux in the southern hemisphere. And then you compare your picture to the chart on the site and you help them do real science. Isn't that cool? Then we've got May 28th, Jupiter and Mars are in conjunction. Also, Uranus and the Moon are in conjunction on the, did I say 29th?
You said 28th before.
28th, good. Because May 29th, Mercury and the Moon are in conjunction. All this stuff is kind of happening in the morning right now. So if you're an early bird, get up, look before the sun rises, and you're going to see a nice string of planets in some cases. And some of them are going to be very, very close on some mornings. Let's see, that's May 30th next, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the new moon. And here in the United States, we are celebrating Memorial Day. On June the 1st is the weekly space hangout. That is going to be fuel cell technology and applications with NASA's Ian Jakubka. Jakubka. I'm so sorry. Go to Weekly Space Hangout on YouTube and you'll see it for yourself. Yep. They're in the last few weeks of their season. I will be appearing one more time on June 29th, and then they'll take a break for a couple months. July and August, they generally are not airing their shows. And then we're back to June 3rd, Friday night show. We're going to take listener questions next week. What do you want to ask us?
And thanks, Cliff.
Thank you, Cliff. We're not quite done.
Yep.
So that's you.
Okay. We're still taking nominations for Everyday Spacer of the Year Award. We already have some. Sorry. We also may need subcategories because we have broad categories of space exploration, science, and astronomy.
That's kind of the big three for us.
Yeah. But is there anything within those that, if we get enough nominations, we might have to break out subcategories, but we'll see.
And we want to know what you want to hear about.
Yep. And we're also looking for committee members to help figure out winners.
And some ongoing events and activities. The Space Prize is launching in June next month, basically. The Space Prize Global is a worldwide contest to promote the advancement of women in STEAM, specifically in aerospace. This is open to 15 to 18-year-old women, young women worldwide. The contest features a combination of written, video, and creative submissions, and they're going to have 2 grand prize winners that'll receive $250,000 worth of prizes. And they're saying astronaut experience. And I know they've added something recently called Space Perspective. They're going to have a flight for that. So that should be really cool. And I think the 0G flight is in there as well. We checked, and you can still add your name to fly around the moon. You know what? You need a cool gift for somebody that doesn't cost you a thing. Get their email in there. Sign them up. Get their name on the. It's going to be a thumb drive that goes right on the spacecraft. You add your name to the Artemis 1 test flight of the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft.
Oh, we've got some comments.
All right, let's see comments.
David, we will have large scopes at our observing field tomorrow at 4 a.m.
Is that 4 a.m.?
Yes, we want to come. I don't think we'd get there by 4 a.m., but yeah, and but yeah.
Yeah, it would take longer to fly there than to. Can you broadcast that? That'd be fun.
Or at least, post up some pictures. That'd
be really cool. Yeah. So what else we got? I saw a couple more there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cliff. You too.
Yeah. Dry out some, Cliff.
Yes,
by the way, we are all hurting for the
trauma. Definitely.
Yeah.
What's Cliff say? I had to bring the funny one along today. All right, Jeff, you want to take us home? We got one little last segment here.
Yeah. Okay. If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Join us again next Friday, June 3rd, for listener questions night. What do you want to ask us?
All right, folks, have a great week, and we will see you next week. We'll keep looking for your comments, and we will do our best to answer them. And hey, maybe we'll turn into a whole new show someday. Thank you so much for being here. Do you want to do a shout out to everybody? You got the name still? Dave and Cliff and
Dave, Cliff. They're way back.
Michael was here.
Michael was Scott. Scott was here, and one of our first people to make a comment here, Anthony,
yay.
Yep. So
thank you so much, everyone. We will see you next Friday.
Yep.
Good night.